Welcome to the Destiny EDU podcast. I am BJ Barango, your host and creative strategist at Destiny Education. Today's episode of the podcast, we take a dive into the tech industry. Wow. Okay, so let's get into it. It's no secret that the tech sector offers record level employment opportunities. However, far too many job seekers circumvent the opportunity to jump into the red hot field. While a tech career is attainable for people from many different walks of life, it can be difficult to know where to start or to envision a coherent pathway to a job. So, on today's episode, we take a look at the pathways into tech. Many individuals fall victim to the myth that any path to a tech role must be cumbersome or draining or maybe confusing or even expensive. Well, despite all the 4-year degrees and the boot camps and online learning options that promise education, there are other navigable ways to secure tech jobs, sometimes in as short as 6 months. Well, there are two main learning paths that I have discovered that you can use to get into tech. One of them is the technical skills learning path, and the other is the leadership and expert learning path. But let me break it down for you. The technical skills learning path basically means getting skills that are in demand in the tech space. Skills for positions like data scientist, data analyst, full stack developer, UX UI designer, digital marketing specialist, and the list goes on and on and on. On the other hand, you have the leadership and expert learning path. Now, this learning path covers getting a degree like a master's. For starters, maybe a Master's of Science Information Technology or an MBA in a specialization in certain key aspects needed in the tech space. Specializations such as product management, technology management, and all that. But the key in this learning path is even if you have the technical skills required by the tech firm and you want to grow in rank, you can opt for any of the in-demand management degree programs. Also, if you don't have a technical skill, an MBA in technology management or product management or any other specialization which is related to the tech space gives you an edge as a leader and an expert. Now, let me break it down for another moment. You can become a co-founder with this leadership learning path, a co-founder or an executive with the knowledge to upscale. And companies are looking for individuals who have the knowledge to upscale. That means taking the business from the local level to a global level. Yeah, so these are the learning paths that I discovered. So I sat down with a tech expert recently, Olusola Amusan, an AI evangelist and a practice lead at Coven Works, to talk about one major question everyone seems to be asking these days. How do I break into tech? Let's get into the conversation. Once again, welcome to the Destiny EDU podcast. Well, let's start off with one question that is on my mind. You have been in tech for so many years now, and so you really understand the industry as it is. And there's a tech boom in the country, so to speak, in Nigeria as it is, and also across Africa. Most African countries have this emerging tech industry or tech market, so to speak. What are the most important skills for young professionals who want to, let's say, get into tech as an industry? To what are the most important skills for them to possess to be part of that emerging industry or that growing industry currently in Africa?
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Quite frankly, I would like to split it into two, answering that question, because ultimately, if we go on to simply talk about the critical technology skills that are important for the world today, without breaking it into the fact that whenever you ask that kind of question, it must be answered robustly and split into two. So let's call one the technical skills, and let's call the other one the core business and soft skills that are still very important. Because if we go on to address the technical skills without addressing the critical soft skills that are naturally deficient by virtue of our own cultural values and where we're from, for most of us, particularly on the African continent, especially Gen Z and even millennials in Nigeria, like we are in the I just want to enjoy my life. I can't come and kill myself kind of, age and time, that if we don't emphasize on critical skills, critical requirements like values of hard work, commitment, tenacity, being thorough, and all of those kind of things, but we'll go on and have people with a lot of technical skills who, yes, the world thinks they are ready. They're suited for the new roles that are emerging, but they get into the place of work and they totally can't bring up critical soft skills like communication, empathy, connectedness on the work, commitment to completion of, duties and responsibilities. And they would just be great Power BI developers, great engineers, great data analysts, and all of that. So in my work, I typically focus more on teaching people and explaining to people the importance of getting critical technical skills without actually focusing a lot on the key skills that are important, that are people skills. And then we see these people skills becoming the reason why the Indians, the Eastern Europeans are getting better on the job than Africans. So let's take it as a combination therapy. You have to have on your right hand all of the critical technical skills that are required, which I'm going to go into, and consider that you're going to have on your left hand all the critical human skills that are important for the workplace: hard work, tenacity, excellent communication skills, empathy on the job, and so on and so forth. But yeah, the critical technical skills are probably the reason why I've been invited as an AI evangelist myself, and I usually refer to the World Economic Report, the Future of Work Report, that basically itemizes some of the 10 emerging roles, that Africans should look out for. And on those top 3 skills, I decided to form a company and to set a mission of over the next decade, which is data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analysis. Data and AI careers actually represent the top 3 skills that the World Economic Forum Future of Work report identifies. So no matter what you do, try to have at least one data skill when you look at your plethora of skills. So when I run CV review sessions for technical people, I tell them that as of today, nobody's looking to hire one single specialist or a single professional, particularly if you're in early career, they are looking for someone who is versatile with a variety of skills. So I usually say, whenever you're thinking about that cocktail of skills that you want to demonstrate as technical skills, when you're listing out Microsoft PowerPoint, you're listing out Oracle, you're listing out, SAP, you're listing out Microsoft Dynamics, you're listing out all of these skills, make sure there is a data skill there. So if it's Microsoft Power BI, if it's Microsoft, if it's Tableau, if it's Spark, any of these data skills that just demonstrates, as small as Excel, in the beginning, that demonstrates that you care about this new entity called, this new phenomena called data explosion that is happening everywhere. So make sure that as you go on gathering these technical skills, whether they are software development skills, software engineering skills, product management and product development skills, user interface and user experience skills. As you gather any of these skills, make sure the top 3 skills that are identified by the World Economic Forum in the Future of Work, make sure that they are part of whatever it is you're trying to do. Because many people watching me today might have chosen maybe UI UX because that's what they're passionate about, design. Another person might have chosen product management because they just really like bringing ideas into real life products and tools. Another person might have chosen software engineering because they love the whole concept of iterating and recreating a software based on user feedback and trends changes. Another person might have chosen core development because they just like code. code. Other person might have chosen testing, user testing and UX testing, and a QA testing, quality assurance testing, and all of that, because they just like checking out new products and giving feedback based on how it's used. So whatever it is that made you to choose any of these fields that you have chosen that are obviously art as well, because they're all revolving around Web 3.0. They're all revolving around mobile application development. There are more devices on the planet than there are people today, so all of these things are revolving around internet. Yes, so you will succeed, but as you do that, begin to think about what is emerging. As long as it connects with data, as long as it connects with automation, with robotics, with artificial intelligence, there's definitely a future in that field. And yes, that is for those who are already in technology, because that will be jargon to those who maybe did finance or did arts and wondering, hey, what's going on here? I also help people to identify the fact that people ask the first question: do I need an experience to cross into technology? You don't need experience to cross into technology. You just need domain knowledge of where you are coming from, because technology is more of an enabler for whatever it is that you're trying to do. So carry that domain knowledge wherever you are, wherever you're watching, and then find out which of these skills that Shola has mentioned today, UI UX design, software engineering, product management, QA testing, all of these skills that I mentioned, core data careers like data analysis, data science. For all of this, which one connects to my own domain knowledge, where I'm coming from? I'm a communications expert. How does it connect to me? I'm a finance expert. How does it connect to me? As I'm a medical expert, how does it connect to me? Because I assure you, for every of these fields that I mentioned, including fashion, agriculture, food security, humanitarian response, all of these fields that you consider, they're not technology related at all, are all currently driven by technology. There is some tech person looking to solve demonstrable human problems, looking for a domain expert like you. And there is you who is a domain expert who needs, as a matter of supreme urgency for your survival in your field, who needs to learn these technology skills to be able to do your work better.
Interesting. I was taking a look at the emerging skills from the World Economic Forum, and you see things like, software dev experts. You see things like product management. And then you try to put things together to figure out what is the best way or the best methods to acquire the skills. And that's like one of the biggest questions in the minds of young people who are seeking to change career paths or try to better themselves in the current career they're in, but they try to fuse it with the tech industry. So what do you think would be like for you to say would be the best way to acquire these skills?
Yeah, I think some of the best ways to acquire these skills, I usually break it down into a couple of models. And that is how I have seen some of my own friends move into technology or sustain their technology drive over the years. Now, some might be community driven, which is like you find a center. If you live in the city center, for example, you live in Lagos or in Ibadan or any of the communities that have a big academic institution and an innovation community, you can learn by virtue of community, which is you find an innovation center around you, like Co-Creation Hub and University and all of the other centers that are around, Nigeria, around Lagos. In Abuja, there are centers in Kano, there are centers in Kaduna. Innovation hubs are a thing now. It's more than 100 of them spread across the country. Yeah. So by virtue of community programs that are being hosted in those communities, you can actually join. And after work in the evening, you can go to those places and work for 2 hours before you go back home, and then you are putting yourself as someone who can learn by virtue of community. In another sense, those communities were very vital at the time where some of my friends and I were still learning to move into technology, because internet access wasn't such a thing. Today, internet access is something everybody, at least most people, have in their homes, either from their mobile phones. They can tether their phones to their laptop, or they can basically buy routers and be able to subscribe for monthly broadband. So broadband is a lot more accessible than it was 10 years ago. And you can basically create a learning pathway for yourself to start learning on Udacity, popular websites like Udacity, udemy.com, coursera.org. And then you can pick some of this content on these platforms and use them as the pathway for you to get into technology. So that's self-paced and community-led, all right? And then you can also take on programs that are paid boot camps. Some of these help people who don't feel like they are disciplined enough as a person to be able to do self-paced programs, or can't access community centers because of work, because of access or general issues like traffic in Lagos. So as a result, they want to do boot camps that are specialized. Some boot camps are funded by top companies like Microsoft, Google, and other organizations like that, while others are actually like organized by companies like the one I run, CovenWorks, Utiva, University, nonprofits like Data Science Nigeria, and Technology for Social Change and Development Initiative, Tech for Dev. So those are like 5 organizations I just mentioned now who basically, run boot camps on certain subjects. So you can get a product management boot camp at Utiva, you can get a UI UX program at Udacity, you can start a data professional course at CovenWorks, you can, and you can get access to some of nonprofit programs organized if you're someone who doesn't have the resources. But I've broken into 3 now. So that's like community-led, self-paced, and then sponsored or paid boot camps. And those can be like programs that are clear, like those are 3 good options for you to begin to learn and get started. And many of these programs have been designed in such a way that they're focused on outcomes, not just training and educating, but outcomes such as jobs, career change, and all those kind of things like that. And that can begin to position you. I've seen people who took on boot camps not because they wanted a career change or a job change, but they wanted a career change ultimately, but they didn't want the job change in the immediate. They were considering going for higher education or going to college, going for a master's degree or PhD in a field that is different from the field in which they studied their first degree. So let's say someone did finance and they were looking to get into data science. They would go on and take a boot camp that will become a prerequisite for them, so they can put in their statement of purpose when they're applying into that higher education program. So let's say people were trying to get into higher education programs that you are proposing now. Some of the bridge programs they can begin to take on would include some of those community-led programs, self-paced programs, and also, community-led programs. Thank God it's virtual, so you guys don't have to worry. So community-led programs, the self-paced programs, and then those boot camps can help you to get the base that you need. Someone is trying to be a data science master's now, and they can just get into a program that focuses on Python for the next 3 months. Python is a programming language, by the way, that can help anybody, over the next 3 to 6 months, then get ready with that before they get into that data science master's program, so they can fit very in class.
But readily, from your experience, you've been doing this for quite some time now. You've been training people for quite some time now. Would you say that the evolving landscape of job opportunities in tech is quite broad? Is maybe open for people to still join in? Is that a thing? Is it evolving for more skills, people to acquire these skills? And if you look at it for like the opportunities, though. Would you say the Nigerian market has those opportunities ready for people? And would you say the global market is also readily waiting for those who want to acquire the skills to come on board?
Absolutely. I would say that, first of all, there is no such thing as anybody being too late to get into the market, into the play. The global, technology landscape is continually growing. The opportunities are surging every year. There are multi-billion-dollar micro industries emerging every now and then, and the deficit is huge in terms of like number of people who need to get into these roles versus number of people that are actually needed in these roles. So the gap is wide. There's more people needed. There are few people who can take on that opportunity. I'll give you an example. In 2017, 2018, this is now about 3 years ago. I did find out what the updated data is about that in 2020. But for 2017, 2018, in the US, only 40% of all the technology jobs that were advertised are actually filled. There's a senior colleague of mine who basically, Dr. Odipo Awojide, who basically was saying on Instagram 2 days ago that looking at the number of tech roles that are open in the United Kingdom, perhaps only 1/3 of it is being filled. There's several roles. There are more roles available than the population of the United Kingdom. And that's why these countries are outsourcing to other countries in Eastern Europe. In the United States as well, imagine if only 40%, 48% of all the jobs, tech jobs that were advertised in the United States were filled for that particular year. Just imagine how many more are open. So if you start UI UX design today, you can take yourself suddenly from somebody whose overall productivity potential in terms of how much they can earn as a personal assistant to somebody now or an admin secretary somewhere. They can basically take themselves from that point within 6 months to 1 year to someone who is earning from Nigeria $1,000, $2,000 a month. And that has been very, very modest. They could be UI UX designers who will be earning $6,000, $7,000 a month if they were based out of Europe or based out of America, because those places have more resources. So potentially, what I'm saying is the gaps are there. The opportunity is huge, and it's really just a question of you opening up yourself, to what is possible and what is available. There are opportunities that once you can demonstrate and you can build a solid portfolio of test assignments, practical solutions, intern somewhere to be part of a live project, and you can project yourself as someone with that capacity, you will be on a job within a couple of months.
Let's take this onto a social level. Just let's look at it. You're interested from your profile. You're interested and passionate about social entrepreneurship. You're passionate about uplifting through technology or tech degrees or sort of way of work. What is the role, if you will put it in a few words, what is the role of tech in improving the economic status of young Nigerians? And now take a case study of the fintech industry and how it is booming in the country. So what would you say that role of tech is in improving the economic status of young Nigerians currently?
Quite frankly, if you think about what's going on in Nigeria and the fact that the government isn't, quite I don't want to say ready. I would say maybe not even equipped with the capacity, so we can speak like we actually do pity them. They're not equipped with the capacity to actually be able to transform and lift people out of poverty. So I see technology as one of the major panaceas, like to be able to get this done. I just give you an example. Like my friends and I have seen students who actually, not students, we've seen youth, Nigerian youth working in filling station, who couldn't go on to get into college. And we brought them into a training program, paid for them to go back to school while they are working as UI UX designer. Okay. They graduated from a 5-year degree program, still working with us for another year. And after 1 year of working with us, after that graduation program, after that undergraduate program, this guy got a job with JP Morgan in London, hired from Nigeria, all expense paid, visa, everything. And now it's probably going to be earning like 80,000 pounds a year as a UI UX designer. There's somebody 5 years ago we took from a filling station in Akure who has now gone on to get a job. So that's an example, and it's not an exception. There are tons of people like that from very indigent backgrounds who have come into data science program with us, for example, learned data science program, not only learned, became instructors themselves, applied to go to university, got all expense paid programs, got graduate assistantship with top professors in the Netherlands, moved to the Netherlands with only a bag of yam flour, nothing more, no payment for flight, nothing, just elubo was what they took to Netherlands. They moved to Netherlands and started a fantastic life. And this person will be doing their PhD all sponsored as well. I've seen all kinds of stories that I can't begin to tell you today. I've seen people from very indigent background come into our program, learn data science. And it really doesn't matter even if it's my program or any other program. I have friends in this space as well who run other companies focused on other things, but within the same technology construct, who have the same similar stories of training people from very indigent backgrounds, and that goes on to change their life. My own story is a similar story, but I don't like to talk much about it anymore. It's been 10 years already. But moving out from a background that is, for want of a better word, you would be considered like part of the people who will be a burden to society, to then going on to learn technology skills and getting a job at Microsoft that will not just affect me, but affect every other member of my family. So the exponential effect of people moving into tech, the people you call tech bros and tech sis today, are essentially people who, those ones they call tech bros, are actually essentially people who make more money than they would ever need to spend with their family members. Maybe they're already based in Lagos, their parents are okay and all of that. But essentially, if you're a tech bro today and you come from Oyo State, or you come from Kwara, you come from a family that is not particular, and you lived there, not that you lived in Lagos and you're privileged, and you lived there, there's a chance that you have a cousin, a friend, a family member who is indigent. So you now get to a point where you suddenly start earning 800,000 naira a month, and your life suddenly becomes like a blessing to the other people around you. So if there is a field Nigerian government should significantly invest in, it would be, look at the number of people that Paystack, Flutterwave, all of these guys have been able to hire, and how their lives have changed. Microsoft started the African Development Center in Nigeria, and you'll be surprised the number of people that particular organization has now hired. They won't hire maybe up to 500 developers over the next couple of years. And those developers, these are people who will now move from just regular beings, regular guys, to people earning as much as a bank branch manager, literally, because that's it. I mean, if you're paying 600,000 to the branch manager of Guaranty Trust Bank, or 700,000 to the branch manager of Guaranty Trust Bank in Monia in Ibadan, for example, it's somebody who is a first year, two-year-old React developer can earn that same amount without working 13 years in the bank, with a lot more opportunity in terms of career prospects in the future. So when people say my head cannot carry it, I don't think I can learn coding, what you're saying is, I don't think I want to be rich. I don't think I want to solve my own problems. Because your head can actually carry it. The people whose heads are carrying it don't have two heads. What they've done is they've shunned Manchester United, they've shunned Arsenal, they've shunned every other thing that is distracting them. I'm not saying there are people who know coding who are not fans of clubs. I'm just saying, if you are saying, I can't pick it, my mind is not good enough for it, it's probably because there are other things distracting you for now. And if you can take all of those out, perhaps you'll be able to get yourself on to the point where you can concentrate and focus on these things. And when you get those skills, please don't be the difficult developers many of us have to deal with in the industry today. Don't be the mannerless, mannerless guy who lacks discipline, who lacks commitment. Be that guy who also has excellent communication skills on the side. Be that guy who has empathy, and chances are you will travel farther than many of the other guys who are just living life the way they want because they know that programming language. All right. Well, there are jobs that insist that you have to have a computer engineering background or a computer science background, but many of the jobs don't actually care what you studied in your first degree. And the reason is because, and this does not mean that when you apply tomorrow and they now tell you, oh, we need a computer science background, and so everything Shola said is a lie. No, I'm saying that yes, there are some people who actually say yes, they require a computer science degree, which may want to necessitate you to take on, a master's in a technology related field. However, because of the huge demand and the fact that there's not enough people, there are many organizations who are willing to take the compromise and just say, show me what you can do. And that's going to be the background. And if you didn't do computer science, you would be the first to even put your portfolio ahead of your resume. Like, can you see what I can do for such that when they see your resume, they're like, are you serious? You studied mathematics? They're even surprised. You get what I mean? So that's really how that works. And truly, just like if you've been listening to what I said, it's just like somebody saying, do I need any qualification to go to school, to go to primary school? So for many of these professional development programs, once you're ready to learn, nobody's going to ask you whether you need a qualification. Now, chances are that there are programs that are, let's say the program is very, very tight. So they want to pick only a few people who can get into the program. They might pick those who have prerequisites, which is why you want to start from the base. So if you can't find a community-led program, go on. Some of you are answering the questions are those who joined afterwards, who didn't hear some of the things I said, because I don't think I've ever explained it as simple as this before. So if you can't find the community-led programs, you will find the online programs. If you can't find the online programs, you will find the sponsored programs. So if everybody is doing shako for you for the community programs and the online programs, you can't get access, then pay to attend the bootcamp. Most of the organizations will not stop you after you have paid because you are the one that wants to come and learn. So there is really no requirement like that, other than the fact that, yes, you're ready to learn and you have your computer to be able to learn. Yes, you do need a computer to come into a computing field. Like, seriously, sell everything you have and go buy a laptop. Like, I seriously mean it. Like, do everything you can to have a computer. And if you don't have, you must have heard stories of some of us in the age that computers were not yet common, that we went to cyber cafes to buy time to work and all of that. If somebody has a laptop, borrow their laptop for a few weeks, use it to learn, until you get your own computer. Passion is what really determines how all of this thing is going to flow out and in what order. If you've been shouting around that I just need this, because many of us on this call, particularly those who might say I don't have a computer and I don't know where to get it, I've probably asked for money for other things from people before. Oh, I need to get this air, or I need to buy this clothes, or I need to attend this party, or I need to do this, or I need to pay for my rent. So you have to put the ownership of a computer at the same level of those desires as well. And then you go on, and then, because without it, I've seen quite a couple of people who try to get into boot camps with mobile phones, hoping that it doesn't work like that. It's like learning to drive a car without having access to one that you use every single time. So, and then this is not because I don't understand the situation in Nigeria, but I also understand that you can start with a computer that is as cheap as 30,000, 40,000 naira. Doesn't mean that's what you use forever, but at least it can get you started.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you share your thoughts with us today. Thank you for your time. And I know you have something to say, maybe a last word before we wrap up the session. We have the speaker for the next session just standing by to go.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I feel that for some of the things I've shared, I hope it's useful for you guys. What I want to say for sure is that technology is one of those things I am certain can completely change your story if you embrace it, if you apply it, and if you use it. And there is no limitation. Usually, I wish I studied like arts or something, or law, which was what I wanted to study, and pharmacy before eventually studying computer science. Because I wish I studied those things. Because even if I studied pharmacy or law, I would have still been doing computing today. Like, I have been passionate about computing like since when I first saw a computer for the first time. But I really wanted to do humanities, and that would have been very useful for some of you guys who are on this call today. And you're like, oh, maybe it's because he did computer science in university. So, but I have met people as well, and I have friends as well who studied fine arts, who studied mathematics, who are doing exceedingly well in one technology career or the other today. So don't limit yourself. You can be anything that you want to be as long as you're committed to it.
Right. Good to have you here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, and all the best, everybody. Have a good one now. Bye.
Bye-bye.